Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Husna Atira and I will be the first presenter. As you can see from the beginning, the topic of our presentation today is evaluation of students that will cover subtopic understanding and analyzing the student performance in co-curricular activities. Without wasting the time, let's get started with the introduction. First, let's look at definition of evaluation. Evaluation is a process of obtaining, analyzing, and interpreting information to determine the extent to which student achieve instructional objective. Evaluation also like making judgments on the worth or value of a performance. For example, we want to look at how good the student's performance and how educate the student fulfill the requirement to achieve the good grade. Without further explanation on evaluation, now move on to PAJSK. Okay, what is PAJSK? PAJSK is known as Pentaksiran Aktiviti Jasmani, Sukan dan Co-Curriculum. Basically, before this, the assessment of co-curricular activity made by school was found to differ from each other. Thus, it leads to inequality elements in awarding the marks for students. So, PAJSK is a system that allows teachers to implement standard co-curricular assessment for all schools, whether primary or secondary, under the Ministry of Education. There are 4 objectives of the implementation of PAJSK at the primary and secondary school level as follows. First, to provide the standard method of assessment of co-curricular activities that can be adopted by all schools. Second, to assist the fully residential school management division or known as Bahagian Sekolah Berasrama Penuh, Majlis Amanah Rakyat or MARA, in evaluating the admission of students to the institution. Third, to assist the Department of Management, Institution of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education in evaluating the admission of students to public institution of higher education or known as IPTA or public university. Lastly, or fourth, to encourage and increase comprehensive involvement among students. Next, evaluation method. What is the evaluation method that being implemented in PAJSK? To ensure that students are always fit and active in co-curricular activities, co-curricular assessments are conducted every year throughout their school period. Assessment result will be presented in the form of grade point average or GPA and cumulative grade point average CGPA throughout the school period. The assessment period each year starts from 1st January to 31st December. What to be highlighted in the evaluation method? The method used are by using GPA and CGPA format, and it will be assessed every year. PAJSK format. The format divided into 3 major components. First, SEGAP, second, co-curricular, third, extracurricular. If you guys can see, why I highlighted the co-curricular component? Because we only focus on how to assess co-curricular in this video. But generally, I am very sure all of you have experienced SEGAP during school, right? We also know that SEGAP was implemented twice a year. Next, extracurricular. Extracurricular is a voluntary activity that is beneficial during or outside of school hours towards the formation of an admirable personality. The marks obtained from this field will be mixed with the highest average score of 2 out of 3 co-curricular activities. Example of extracurricular like Anugerah Nilam, School Prefect, School Librarian, and others. Now, let's proceed with co-curricular. On 4th May 2005, the Cabinet meeting decided that every student must follow 3 co-curricular activities as follows. First, clubs or societies. Second, uniform bodies. And third, sports or games. The meeting also set a merit requirement of 10% co-curricular marks for admission to public institution of higher education or public university. For the purpose of assessment, only 2 highest marks are taken into account from the 3 main aspects involving 6 elements. So, what are the 3 main aspects and 6 elements? Let's look at the next slide. Aspects of assessment. There are 3 aspects to assess co-curricular. Under each aspect, there are several elements. First aspect is involvement or penglibatan. And under involvement, we have 4 elements which are pos, hal or jawatan, level of involvement or peringkat, commitment or commitment, and contribution service or khidmat sumbangan. Second aspect is participation or penyertaan and has only one element which is attendance or kehadiran. Third aspect is performance or prestasi and also has one element which is achievement or pencapaian. To make all of you clear, let's look at the table on the next slide. This table is only example. As you all can see, these are how to assess the co-curricular activities that includes 3 aspects and 6 elements. Don't worry guys, all of these details will be explained by the other presenters. I think that's all from me. I pass the presentation to Nurul Nabiha. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Nurul Nabiha binti Muhammad Sofian. So, I will continue the presentation on the first aspect of assessment, which is involvement. Involvement is divided into 4 aspects. First is post-health, second is level of involvement, third is commitment, and last, contribution service. We go to the first aspect in involvement. Post-health. In post-health, scores are given to the student who holds the highest position in co-curricular activities. However, ordinary members and other positions will also be allocated marks according to the type of position held. The distribution of marks is as follows. The first table shows scores for aspects of involvement. Element of positioning in clubs, associations, and sports or games. The table consists element, position, and score. Type of position that scored 10 marks is president, team captain, and head of school sport house. For the second row, vice president, head of the house assistant, captain assistant, secretary, and treasurer will score 8 marks. The third row shows that secretary assistant, treasurer assistant, and committee score 6 marks. The second last row is active members, score 4 marks, and lastly for registered members, score 2 marks. Next, this table shows score for aspects of involvement of uniform, unit bodies, elements of position organized by government agency department. The table consists element, position, and score. Under element it has position which is organized by ministries or government department and pasukan cadet remaja. The first row shows sub-inspector, warrant 2 darat atau laut atau udara, ketua kanan bomber, and others score 10 marks. Second row shows sergeant major, staff sergeant, bintara kanan, and others will score 8 marks. Third row shows that 7 marks will be given to who has sergeant, bintara muda, sergeant udara, and others. Next row shows corporal, laskar kanan, corporal udara, and others will score 6 marks. Next row shows Lance Corporal, Laskar Muda, Lance Corporal Udara, and others will score 5 marks. The second last row is active members, score 4 marks, and lastly for registered members, score 2 marks. The next table shows score for involvement aspect of uniform unit bodies, elements of positions organized by non-governmental organizations NGO. Under element, it shows position which is organized by NGO. We can see in the first row, it shows that pemimpin muda, president, team captain, and others will score 10 marks. Second row shows squad captain, vice president, captain assistant, and others will score 8 marks. Third row shows assistant head of section, secretary, treasurer, and other will score 7 marks. Next row shows secretary assistant, treasurer assistant, and others score 6 marks. Next row shows committee, leader of the parade, group leader, and others score 5 marks. The second last row shows active members, group leader assistant, and leader Putri Mastika. Score 4 marks. Lastly, for registered members, will score 2 marks. I believe you guys still remember type of uniform bodies organized by NGO. So here, I just want to recall uniform bodies under NGO is Bridge Putri or Putra, BSMM, Joyful Vanguard, Brass Band, Pergerakan Pandu Puteri Malaysia, PPIM, Persekutuan Pengangkap Malaysia, and St. John Ambulance Malaysia. The last table shows score for aspect of involvement of personal elements in martial arts elements. In the first row, Chairman, President, Bengkong Merah or Black Belt will score 10 marks. Second row shows Vice Chairman or President, Bengkong Hijau 3 and Red Belt 2 will score 8 marks. Third row shows Secretary, Treasurer, Bengkong Hijau 2, Red Belt 1 will score 7 marks. Next row shows Secretary Assistant, Treasurer Assistant, Bengkong Hijau 1 and Blue Belt 2 will score 6 marks. And the next row show Committee, which is Chula 3 and Green Belt 1 and 2 will score 5 marks. The second last row shows Active Member, which is Class 3, Chula 2 and Green Belt 1 and 2 will score 4 marks. Lastly, Yellow Belt will score 2 marks. So here is the second aspect under aspect of assessment, which is level of involvement. These scores are given to all members based on their contribution and commitment to all activities carried out and the level of involvement involved. Involvement scores for individuals and team or team members are the same. The first table shows types of involvement, which divided into 3 levels of participation. For the first, participation is defined as students who are registered as athlete, participant in camps, tournament, courses, carnival, and competition programs. Participation 2 is about student involvement in activities such as executive committee, which is Jawatan Kuasa Pelaksana, students that in charge in technical, which is Petugas Teknikal, and interlude performance. For participation 3 is about involvement of students that in events such as supporters, cheerleaders, and so on. The second table shows score for involvement element. The table consists element level of involvement and lastly is score. Level of involvement is under element and there are 5 levels of involvement, which is international, national, state level, Sabah or Sarawak state level competition, and lastly zone or district level. The score is divided into 3 types, which are for participation 1, participation 2, and participation 3. The score for participation 1 is 20 marks for international, 17 marks for national, 14 marks for state level, 12 marks for Sabah and Sarawak state level, and 11 marks for zone or district. The score for participation 2 is 15 marks for international, 12 marks for national, 10 marks for state level, 9 marks for Sabah or Sarawak state level, and 8 marks for zone or district. The score for participation 3 is 10 marks for international, 8 marks for national, 6 marks for state level, 5 marks for Sabah or Sarawak state level, and 4 marks for zone or district. Next slide is about the third aspect under aspect of assessment, which is commitment. Commitment is assessed from 10 aspects in the observation of the advisory teacher. The focus of the teacher observation covers aspects related to leadership, attitude, and determination while performing activities. The advisory teacher can only mark a maximum of 4 aspects out of the 10 choices given with the weighted marks as listed. First, showing leadership and managing activities will score 3 marks. Help a teacher or friend will score 2 marks. Providing equipment will score 2 marks. Packing equipment will score 2 marks. Cleaning the area will score 2 marks. Punctual will score 2 marks. Showing interest will score 2 marks. Determination will score 2 marks. Follow the instruction will score 2 marks. Trying will score 2 marks. Cooperate will score 2 marks. And lastly, any observable positive attribute will score 2 marks. I think that's all from me, so I will pass the presentation to the next presenter, Fatin Nabila. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. I'm Fatin. Okay, students are graded on their participation in and contribution to school level events or programs in this contribution service. It's important to keep in mind that this is only for students in school level. The athlete or participant, specific skills, performance, and assistance are the 4 elements that are evaluated. Students will be given a score of 10 for athlete or participant and special skills. Those who participate in performance will receive an 8 score, while students who help the association club succeed will receive a 5 score. For example, let's say you are a dancer in your school's dance art club. Your school will host an event later and you will perform in the opening performance. Then, because you participated in a school level event, you will receive an 8/10 for your contributed service score. This assessment's second aspect is involvement. This assessment's attendance component receives the highest grade with the goal of encouraging students to attend each scheduled meeting. The number of sessions must not be fewer than 18 per year for uniform bodies and 12 per year for club or association and sports or games, taking into account that each meeting usually takes 3 hours. This implies that students must attend all co-curricular meetings. Exemption from attendance is only considered if the student is ill or if the students participate in other co-curricular activities with permission from the school or if there are other justifiable grounds. This absence must have been reported to the school. In uniform bodies, students will receive 2.22 marks for attending 1 meeting, 4.44 marks for attending 2 meetings, 6.66 marks for attending 3 meetings, and so on. If a student attends 18 meetings, he or she will obtain 40 marks, implying that he or she must attend all co-curricular meetings during the year. You are a member of BSMM, for example. This year, you only go to 8 meetings. That implies you will only get 17.77 marks out of a possible 40. In club or association and sports or games, students will receive 3.33 marks for attending 1 meeting, 6.66 marks for attending 2 meetings, 9.99 marks for attending 3 meetings, and so on. If a student attends 12 meetings, he or she will gain 40 marks, implying that he or she must attend all co-curricular meetings during the year. For example, Suppose you belong to a handball club and only attend 10 meetings per year. Then you will only get 33.30 marks out of a possible 40. Performance is the final part of co-curricular that will be evaluated. Students are given grades based on their success in competitions at various levels. Only the champion, runner-up, and third-place winners are considered. Individual events at the school level award 4th and 5th places respectively. The student achievement score are listed in the table above. The student's achievement will be recognized at each of the 6 levels of competitions. The 6 levels are school, zone or district, section, which is only for Sabah Sarawak, state, national and international. The champion will receive 20 points at the international level, which is the highest and most perfect mark. Second and third place receive 19 and 18 points respectively. The first, second and third place will receive 17, 16 and 15 points respectively at the national level. The top 2 winners receive 14, 13 and 12 points at the state level. The champion, runner-up and third place finalists will receive 12, 11 and 10 points respectively at the section level, which is just for Sabah Sarawak. The top 3 winners at the zone or district level will receive 11, 10 and 9. There are benefits at the school level where the top 5 winners will receive marks which are at 7, 6, 5 and 4. Let me give you one example here. Let's say you are a third place winner at the national level. This means you will get 18 points over 20. That's all from me. I will pass the presentation to Nadira.
Hi everyone, my name is Siti Nadira binti Johari and I am the last presenter. So, we have discovered on the definition of evaluation, involvement, participation and performance of students. Now, let's look on how to calculate co-curricular marks in student evaluation. First, what do we have in method of calculation? We have GPA, CGPA and 10% of co-curricular marks. Assessment result will be presented in the form of current year performance, which is CGPA, and cumulative performance over the school period, CGPA. Now, let's take a look on example of student GPA and CGPA performance in co-curricular areas during the school period. So here is the 4 component, which is club and societies, uniform bodies, sport and games, and lastly, extra co-curricular. The table shows in Form 1, the student get 55 marks over 110 marks for club and societies, 70 marks for uniform bodies, and 58 for sport and games, and lastly, 5 marks for extra co-curricular. For each year, only 2 highest marks will be selected out from the 3 activities: club and societies, uniform bodies, and sport and games. For example, this table shows 70 and 58 marks was selected from uniform bodies and sport games, as it has the highest score compared to 55 marks on club and societies. For the next year onwards, the same step will be used. As you can see in the table, there are extra co-curricular included in this component, right? Now, let's move to the next step and see what we have to do with these extra co-curricular marks. Now, we have to find the average score of 2 best activity by adding it and divide it by 2. For example, 2 marks shown in bold before 70 plus 58 and we will get 128 marks. Then 128 marks will be divided by 2 and we will get 64 marks. After that, we will add this mark with extra co-curricular marks, which is 64 plus 5 and we will get 69 marks. Lastly, change the score into 10% to 2 decimal places. To calculate for the next CGPA, for example in Form 2 and 3, we have to add the previous CGPA marks with the current GPA mark and divide it into 2. For example, we take a look, for example, Form 2 here. 82 current marks plus 69 marks on previous CGPA, which is from 1 and divided by 2. So here we will get 75.5 marks for CGPA Form 2. In this calculation, only CGPA current year and mark 10% from 3 only will be recorded in PPA's PAJSK statement. So here is the result from the example calculation for the student evaluation before. You guys may try it to calculate it, okay? This table shows score change of 110 marks to 100 marks. How to calculate it? I bet that you guys have already known this simple calculation, right? The score out of 110 divides by 110 and the answer will be times 10. Then the answer we get will be in 100 marks. Next, this table shows the grade of achievement. We have 5 grades, which is grade A is between 80 to 100 marks, grade B between 60 to 79 marks, grade C between 40 to 59 marks, grade D is between 20 to 39 marks, and lastly, we have grade E, which will be in 90.9 marks and below. For grade description, grade A is for excellent job, where the students who are very active, committed, and demonstrate the potential of self-help in participating activities. Grade B is for earner, where the students are active, committed, and demonstrate interest in activities. For grade C, the students do a good job in co-curricular, where the student involvement and participation in activities are satisfactory. Next, we have grade D. Grade D is for less satisfactory, where the students are not showing sincerity in participating activities. Lastly, we have grade E, unsatisfactory. The student involvement and level of achievement are not satisfactory. That's all for today. Thank you.